Hello, hello. Welcome to the Tetracast. This is episode 411, the big 411, being recorded on September 13th, 2025. I am your host for this week, Josh Torres. Your usual host, Brian Vitali, is out for this week. I think it's like the last of his summer um, PTO, personal vacation stuff. But we have some of the usual crew here this week, and it's quite a big week. We have Adam Vitali,
Hello.
we have Chao Min Wu,
How's it going?
and we have Mikhail Nani.
Hello.
So this week, you know what it is. Nintendo Direct came out of nowhere, and it was an hour long. Um, we have a
Can you
lot.
believe it? We finally get 5 more years of discourse.
We'll get to it. Get to it. In the meantime, before we get to that big Nintendo Direct, it has quite a bit of info for us. We have some things that kind of dropped this week. I can finally talk about the final game that I was wanted to mention last week on my trip to PAX West 2025, and that was being locked in a room for 3 hours to check out Digimon Story Time Stranger. That also got a demo release this week, so we'll talk about that. Mikhail has been playing with the Playdate, and he's going to be talking about that. And I also have one little game I'll introduce when we get to it. So, yeah, beginning of this week, I was prepping up. I was initially only going to prep one article for this, but it turns out we had a lot. I had a lot of info at 3 hours of recordings of Digimon Story Time Stranger, and I was like, okay, there's a lot I want to talk about here. So might as well split it up into two articles. So I kind of did a very unconventional type of thing where I already gave a written preview of Digimon Story Time Stranger at Summer Games Fest. We went hands on with it, got an interview, uh, and all that stuff. And I was, we were all really impressed with what we saw there. And I was like, I don't want to retread the same ground. I don't like, the game is what it is. And a lot of what I experienced on, like, in terms of like battle system and like how you navigate, it's like, okay, sure, that's all basic stuff that I've already covered on a previous hands-on. So I just wanted to, report on info that people might be interested in that I found interesting, and I wanted to share that. And this was before we knew a public demo was coming out and everything, so we kind of got like a almost like an early sneak peek of what people uncovered a few days later, like with the PC settings and giving people the heads up that hey, this game actually supports frame rates above 60 FPS on the PC version because people didn't know when, at the time. So people did uncover that when the public demo came out. And then all the info about changing main characters because some people don't want to be locked to just like either the male or female option in it. So it's like, hey, you can do this at any time when the game starts, no problem. Um, and just like some uh minor like miscellaneous notes of like things that I found interesting on that. Mikhail, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so like when we were discussing in the staff chat the PC port features and stuff, it just reminded me that whenever Bandai Namco announces a game, like usually on multiple platforms, they put up this thing only on their Japanese website, which is like a spec sheet which talks about resolution, frame rate, save files, and general like HDR and other features like that. And I think based on my experience in the last few years, those are not to be taken as 100% accurate. And we kind of saw that with Digimon as well, because like you said, right, the Digimon thing, it's not capped to 60 FPS on PC. It supports a lot of features with the PC port, like you've covered. In fact, you put up the settings screens for the demo build which you played, showing I think vastly more than anyone expected for a game like this, because the original Digimon Cyber the
Cyber
bundle which
Sleuth?
they released
Yeah.
was like, yeah, Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory had like, I can't remember if it had even like 2 or 3 graphics options. It was
Yeah,
just
I
like
saw the PC
basic
like
stuff.
gaming wiki article that like archives those, and like it had like a really really small selection of like PC settings. Just kind of look back because I was curious too. I was like, oh man, those were different times when the PC version of those came out. And they were
Yeah, so
very,
like
very basic
this one
ports.
seems pretty impressive. And have you played the demo yourself, or did you not get time after like trying the 3 hour
I
thing
mean,
already?
because a lot of the demo that came out is like that entire opening section is like I already played that in the 3 hour demo. Like that was the first portion. Is that hey, you play from the beginning of the game up until like where the demo story cuts off. So I've already played that, and then and then there's like a secondary central town mode where you can go explore the town part, but none of that save data in that mode will carry over. It's only the opening intro story section that you play in the demo. So I was like, I probably don't need to, play the demo. I'll just wait for, when we get a copy for review and stuff,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
experience it there.
I was gonna say, you could have gotten a head start on that, but like I have to just remind myself and just people listening, sometimes when we get a review code for a game, the save data from the demo may not work until the day one patch. So there's a
Right.
good chance. Yeah, so we don't know whether that would happen for sure. Like I can say that for Trails in the Sky first chapter, the review build which I have, it picked up my demo save on a PS5 and PC. But yeah, like it's not a guarantee, so it makes sense and like limited time and stuff like that. But beyond that, like since you already put up your detailed impressions, and like I've honestly been like blown away by playing it myself, because obviously I read your stuff and it looked nice, and we've your previous preview and stuff like that, everything just points to it being finally a Digimon story game with a budget and with good localization. But just seeing it for myself was shocking. It it kind of reminded me of going from Trails of Cold Steel to Trails Through Daybreak, if that's like a good frame of reference for any Falcom fans listening. It felt like that big a jump in production. So I'm kind of excited to play it. And I tried the demo on both PS5 and Steam Deck, and I'm leaning towards playing it on Steam Deck instead of PS5, because if I'm playing it at 30 FPS, why not go portable? But yeah.
Yeah,
Do you want to talk
it's
about
always
the Digivolution dedicated article which you did, because that was more in depth than I think anyone expected?
yeah. So I was thinking originally like I was gonna put this Digivolution stuff in the main preview article on PAX. So I was like, there's a lot going on here. So that's why I decided to break it off into its own separate thing. A lot of people were kind of wondering how is this going to work compared to Cyber Sleuth, because a lot of people remember like the ABI and comm system and Cyber Sleuth, and people were like, it was okay, but it wasn't ideal. It wasn't really fun to really, people remember who played it like farming like a team of platinum Sukamons to fucking grind out their fast evolutions and such. So this one is pretty interesting because it's tied mainly to stats and to a thing called agent rank, which is probably main story, maybe side mission gated. So people aren't rushing like ultimate and megas right away like they did with the previous Digimon story titles. Um, so a lot of it is focusing on like a Digimon's personality, and their personality dictates like kind of their growth path as they level up. So you can manipulate the personality via the Digifarm and other means. Whether you talk to them after like a certain time out of battle, you can like give them a response that may influence their personality growth and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of like nuance to if you want to like say have uncover a new Digivolution, because Digimon evolve and de-evolve in non-linear ways. So it's not like Pokemon where you have a very strict linear growth path. Digimon is, hey, this one Digimon, like this rookie Digimon, can potentially turn into one of like five other Digimon at the champion level. But in this game, it depends on like what their stats are. Do they meet the stat thresholds and for it? And if they do, then you can go Digivolve them into that way. So there seems to be a lot of nuance in like how you decide to grow your Digimon over time with their personality growth and stuff like that. And of course, people who play the demo who are big, 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 big Digimon fans that I've been kind of keeping an eye on people at several places who are very diehard, maybe maybe degenerate at times. Digimon fans who are grinding the demo out in terms of like digivolving like all the Digimon that you can like get onto your team in the demo, so they can unlock new paths that it is included in the demo if you really want to take the hours to kind of grind down that path. So you've seen videos of like people or screenshots uncovering all like the rookie Digimon that you could potentially get by engaging with that system for a long time in the demo, just the demo content alone, and then all the people who went to the central town mode and then even had even more stuff that they could more Digimon that they could uncover through leveling them up, digivolving them, and then having those um like weak lower tier Digimon upgraded to other paths that that the demo doesn't initially allow unless you put in the work for it. So it's cool that people are enthusiastic about that, have already done the are already finding their own way on that. So it's looking to be really, really just versatile and a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to uh when this game comes out just in less than a month. It's gonna be it's looking like they're saying and showing all the right things about this title, and it makes me really optimistic about it, especially after what I played at PAX, where I got to play an area that wasn't in a demo, like the Abyss area that I showed some screenshots of and stuff like that, and like it's been a lot of fun to see,
Oh,
especially because this. Go for it.
Oh, you mentioned how you've been checking the response from like hardcore Digimon fans. So I did kind of the opposite because there are some people I know who really really like turn-based RPGs, and this
Mhm.
is like before Dragon Quest. This seems like the one which everyone's looking at. So I was like, why don't you try the demo? And then some people are like, does it have difficulty options? And I was like, I don't remember if Cyber Sleuth had. Then this was before the demo actually released, right? And then I checked the demo and they have this story mode. I don't know if you saw that, but this basically, if you die in combat, it just basically gives you God mode so that
Oh
nothing
yeah,
can
I
damage
I
you
saw
for that
some word about
encounter.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Uh-huh.
like just for that one battle, so it's not like permanent God mode. It's just like you get it for that battle and then you can get back to normal and play after that with slightly easy or whatever. And then if you die again, it's just the battle which you're on. And I was like, let me actually test this. So in the opening part where you just get control and you have to avoid those big walking Digimon. I forgot the name
Yeah,
which
the
was there.
Chaos Dramon that's wandering around. Yeah.
Yeah. So because that one hit kills you, right? But then if you do the easy mode, you can just basically like put it on auto battle and like I just left the Steam Deck running for like 20 minutes and it
Oh
killed it.
Jesus, crazy.
That was hilarious. But yeah, they have like a story mode, I think it's called, which if you die in battle, you just get to redo that battle, or it gives you an option. Actually, it doesn't like immediately do it. That you can just restart this with like whatever. So that was nice to see. I like you said, right? They just seem to be doing everything right with it. Have you
Yeah.
looked into the different editions the games have? Like with Super Robot Wars, it's like get the ultimate. But what about Digimon?
I did a little bit like a few months back when they showed those off and the Microsoft Store had the listings. So I kind of dug into that and kind of already have like a little chart of like how that what the editions are. Maybe I'll make it more readable because I don't like what I made. But either way, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of it. I mean, you can get almost all of what the game has in the just a base edition. On obviously, there's like some goodies in terms of like there's a pre-order bonus for like the black versions of Agumon and Gabumon, but I think you can get them in the game. Then there's like, you know, it's kind of weird because both the deluxe and ultimate editions have outfits, but then like the outfits also come with their own side mission. So there's definitely like, if you want to see all the side missions, much like Super Robot Wars, then like you're definitely gonna like have to get that ultimate edition because there's a lot of outfits and the outfits come with their own side mission. I don't know how substantial those side missions are. I know in SRW you have like a fun scenario and some nice character interactions, but like it's a fairly basic stage. It's like but it's a cool thing like just to see like more character interactions. I don't know how deep it is for Time Stranger. But yeah, I mean, if you're interested in checking it out, there's a demo out for all the platforms it's releasing on the PS5, Xbox Series, and even PC as well. Sometimes like with SRW, sometimes Bandai Namco doesn't release a PC demo for their upcoming games, like SRW. So, yeah, I mean, go check it out if you're interested. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So if you're looking for a pretty solid turn-based RPG, we'll talk more about that when the full release comes out fairly soon, just in a few weeks. So yeah. Next up, Mikhail, even fiddling with the Playdate. The Playdate, remind me, is that little handheld with the crank, right?
Yeah. So basically, a few months ago, I forget if it was March or in like April, I wanted to figure out how I could do some coverage around the Playdate. And then I was looking through the library because it's always been something I've wanted since before it was even released, because the people who made the Playdate are Panic. Panic has been like a Mac OS or Mac at the time software developer for like a really, really long time. They make like professional grade software for Mac, and they've been branching out into publishing games, and like they did the Playdate as well, which is the small monochrome yellow handheld device which has like just the D-pad and A B button, and it has a crank, which is like the main selling point and one of the unique input options which it has. So I pitched this thing around doing an article around the RPGs which are available on the Playdate and just looking at how the system is in 2025. And the based on the timing when I actually got the Playdate, what's happened is been so busy with a lot of the games coming out in the next few weeks, which can't talk about yet, some which I can, and just in the news cycle, that the only games I've actually been playing on the Playdate are the quote unquote arcade and pick up and play style things. So the last, I think from like Monday or so, the week has basically been me discovering what's on the library and just getting obsessed with like three specific games on that which I want to talk about. One of them is called so basically just one more thing about the Playdate is you it's not a backlit device, so it's kind of like, you know, the Game Boy Advance, the old one, where you need to have like an actual light in the room, or like you need to
Yeah,
play it outdoors.
even like the original Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Yeah, so you
Yeah, so
needed to rely on the sun or some third
yeah,
party
yeah.
device to
Yep.
shine light on it.
Yep. So it's basically like that, and this is something I somehow completely missed when looking at it. So when I got it and I was updating it, because like you need to update the firmware to like get some of the new features, and I was like, oh, this is that, and I was like, okay, like this will be interesting to see. So just trying to load up the game because I've downloaded so many games to this. It's like it doesn't have folders yet, which is kind of annoying. It reminds me of like early PS4 uh thing. But yeah, basically the main game I've been playing so far is called A Balanced Brew, and this basically is, it's like, you know, QWOP, or I don't know how you pronounce it, the, you know, those Bennett 40 type games. So you use the crank to control a unicycle, and there's a hipster who you have to get from point A to point B where he gets his daily coffee. And someone told me this game is like Bennett 40 for coffee hipsters, and they said, "Oh, this is perfect for you." So I got the game, I bought it, and you basically have to move the crank across like a different, they're like obstacles on the road and stuff like that, and you have to balance him while you're going there. And there are multiple levels. I've just done like 10 of these levels, and you have to get to point A to point B, and each time you reach the end, he'll be like, I'll have an oat latte or something like that. So this has been a very nice pick up and play thing, where after like I maybe post some news or I play like 2 hours of say NBA something on Switch or Star Wars or something, I just pick it up and like do 2 levels in one go. And it's the crank input is pretty interesting, because I thought it would just be, you know, like how some games read the analog stick movement and it resets. But over here it's like very precise, where it can detect the exact position your crank is on the system. So you can't actually cheat and reset stuff. So it's been pretty interesting
Oh,
to see that. uh, that's one of the games I've been playing. There's another game I've been playing called Snow exclamation mark. I forgot the developer. I'll probably mention all this when I write up something around it. But Snow exclamation mark is like a downslope snowboarding first person snowing game, not snowboarding. And this kind of blew my mind, because seeing these like 3D fast paced graphics on this Playdate monochrome 1 bit screen is basically, you know, like it's just black and whatever, like different shades of that. They call it 1 bit gameplay. So seeing that was kind of amazing. So this is another like arcade style thing. You just get through levels or whatever. Do you know the A Train franchise, right? On
Yeah,
PC
yeah.
and Switch and stuff. Someone's made like a mini A Train like game for the Playdate as well, and you use the crank to control the train. And
That's pretty
you know,
cool.
so when I initially started looking at all these games, I thought, is this going to be like the TI calculator where people just have these basic input games? But it's kind of insane what people are doing with the visuals on the Playdate with like this limited palette which you have and kind of fast response. So in a lot of ways, this handheld feels like I have a physical version of UFO 50, which is like just discovering these arcade style. Some of them are very hard. These games which I've never heard of, except over here, these are actual new games made by different developers. So that's another game which I've been really, really enjoying. And just trying to find the last game because the last game is Root Bear. Root Bear, it's like another, like I've just been playing these pick up and play type things. I haven't gone into the like Lucas Pope, who developed Papers, Please, and Oberdin, has this game called Mars After Midnight, which is a Playdate exclusive. That's something I was very excited to play, but I haven't even booted it up yet. So Root Bear is a game where you have to pour root beer for bears who like come to your bar, and you have to use the crank like a draft beer dispenser, and each of them have like a different level of beer they want in a different glass, and it has like really cool like a visual and audio cue which is playing around with it. So yeah, just been fiddling around with these games before I actually get into the deep. Like there are a lot of dungeon RPGs on this and point and click adventure games that you use the crank for. So probably going to be getting into this hardcore over the next few weeks, but I have no idea. Like I just joked about this with someone that I posted Adam's list, which he has the big RPGs coming out in 2025, and there's like so many games coming out in September and October, and someone said, how are you going to deal with all of this? And I said, by picking up the Playdate handheld. That's how.
All right. That how do you, if you know, how do you get a Playdate these days? I know that when they had that initial crowdfunding, you could get
So
one.
you can just buy one from the Playdate official website. It's only
Okay.
available there right now, and they have like so what happens is, yeah, that's the good point you brought it up. So when you buy the Playdate, you just get the Playdate itself, and you get Season 1 installed. Season 1 is basically what they shipped with as 24 games, and they made it so that it ships and it downloads 2 games when you log into your account, and then every week 2 more games show up. So it's basically like giving you 2 games every week for like 12 weeks or whatever, so you can sample what it has to offer. And these are all like full games, these aren't like demos or whatever. And because the play rate is now like a few years old, I think it's 2 years old, you can actually skip through the end of the seasons and get all 24 games if you want. But what I'm doing is I'm letting it play out.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun that you could have it either way. You can still simulate that, like, hey, getting
Yeah.
those games like on a weekly basis, or if you're if you just want
Yeah.
everything, dude.
So basically, Playdate had Season 1, which is what is included for free with the device. It's a $229 US dollar device, and it has a case which is like 20 or 30 separately. They have Season 2, which came out earlier this year, which was not 24 games, it has 12 games and a bonus. And the Season 2 is $40, which I also bought. I'm also letting this go. This has another day. So I think it's like Monday for Season 1 and like Thursday for Season 2 or something like that. So, like every morning, I just look at the playdate and there's like a notification on the lock screen which says new games added and in like a comic book aesthetic or something. So it's like really cool. And yeah, the last thing I want to bring up with Season 2 is it has this game called Blippo Plus, which is a bonus game for Season 2. It's this bizarre FMV thing, which is live action TV streamed actually to your playdate. It's actually streamed, so you have to be connected online to watch it. And it has its own rotating schedule where it has different channels each week, which you have to watch and piece together a story. It's like the most bizarre thing I've experienced on it. And like this year, with because I can't really understand what's happening in the story yet, but then I've just had like a few days with it. So I don't know, like I love FMV games, like the Centennial Case is like one of my favorites in years. This it's like you have this VHS style FMV thing, but it's also being broadcast to your playdate in 1 bit. So it's not color. They are releasing like a color version of this on Steam and Switch next week. but I have the Playdate one, which I can talk about, and it's kind of bizarre. You have these like cooking programs, you have this dance program, game show, and stuff. I don't know, who knows? I might talk about it in a few weeks on the podcast when I've understood it. But right now, it just feels like I have this retro TV with like a knob which I used to tune the channels and stuff. So I don't know. It feels like another thing which is laser focused on my nostalgia from the 90s, and let's see, hopefully the payoff is worth it.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. All right, thanks for sharing. Is there any more, or that's it for now?
Yeah, that's it for now with the Playdate. I need to actually
Okay,
spend time on the games I want to write about,
cool.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
probably
hear
gonna
you.
pour some root beer. So
That sounds like a really fun premise for a game. Yeah, speaking of FMV stuff, just the last thing I wanted to mention here, but this came out just I think like a few days ago. Yeah, earlier at the beginning of this week. It's called Road to Empress, and it's out on Steam and mobile devices. So this is an interesting one that's kind of like caught my eye by chance, and I was looking at the popular upcoming for Steam earlier this week, and I was like, I'm into FMV games. I don't get around to like all of them because of time, but I try to uh, play them whenever I can. Um, and this one just it really caught my eye. This is from a studio called New One Studio, developer, and it's kind of like this bizarre FMV game that really prides itself on like a lot of branching paths. And there's a lot of bad ends in this game. Like you oddly die a lot in this game. So the premise is you're playing this woman named Kai. I pronounce for all my Chinese pronunciation, by the way. I'm not good at for properly pronouncing Chinese names. So forgive me. But you play this woman named Kaiden Wu Yuanshao, and this is the entire premise of this is basically this woman's rise to power to become the female empress Wu Zetian. So it takes place primarily in the rear palace, and I, I'll admit I was initially lured in by this premise because I really like the TV anime adaptation of the Apothecary Diaries, and I was like, okay, sure. Like it's not like I'm going to this game expecting the Apothecary Diaries, but I kind of was more fascinated by that setting and premise because of that show. So there's a lot of like drama that happens in this game in terms of political drama, where you are constantly kind of in conflict with both these I forgot what the exact titles of them. They're kind of these maidens that have like positions of power in the rear palace to gain favor with the emperor. Um and also you have these siblings who are subtly in conflict with the crown prince to succeed their father, the emperor. So you kind of get to know those siblings as well. The the main way you interact with this game is that there are constantly a lot of FMV scenes, and you are constantly making uh decisions um to go down certain paths. So like within the first, I kid you not, like 15 minutes, I died like 7 times because the first like decision you make right from the get-go when you're entering the rear palace as like this new one of the new recruits that was probably kidnapped to go serve in the rear palace. um and the very first thing that happens, like there's this hairpin, this floral hairpin has a certain design, gets dropped, and one of these women of power notices it and catches her favor, and she um asks you right away, is this yours? And like your responses are you claim ownership of it, you um you say it's someone else's, or you make a joke about it, like a joke response saying like, you know, it wouldn't look good on you, it doesn't suit you, this color suits you better, whatnot. So I was like, okay, my first sort of like, I guess I'll claim ownership of it. I'm like why not? And then that led to oh, if it's yours, like why don't we just like engrave it onto you then? And then like it leads to like a bad end where you put where right away where they pretty much like have this floral like coal engraving and then like put that they stoke it and then put it brand it on like your forehead. So you're like the very first thing I saw in the game was like a death bad end of like of your forehead bleeding from like being branded. Um, so I was like,
That's
okay,
pretty messed up.
yeah, I get messed up pretty fast. And then it reminds me of almost like the joke thing, like because I say like the joke responses like in FMV games. Obviously, it leads to like that same different exchange of like dialogue that's happening, but obviously leads to that same bad end of like, hey, come on. And then the real answer was like have some like throw someone else under the bus and claim ownership of it. So instead of you getting branded, it's that other woman, and the story moves on, and so forth.
Yeah, that's such a common Chinese trope in shows.
So,
Yeah, just throw that other guy in the bus. Don't take any responsibility.
yeah.
That's
And
common.
after this whole ordeal of like claiming, throwing someone else under the bus for this hairpin, the next story beat goes to like you are introduced like of your lodgings where you're gonna stay at in this weird palace. So one of the people that came with you to like be recruited was like your childhood friend, that you've known for quite a while. And they kind of have a dispute, you and your childhood friend, over because like that was the childhood friend's like hairpin, and like there's this whole kind of you feel bad because like you see the consequences of your actions. You see that woman have her head branded like when she was released after that. You see her head like forehead all bloodied and stuff like that. So you kind of have like this dispute with your childhood friend. She's more cold-blooded, cold-hearted, and so forth. Um, and what your next decision is like choosing where you are staying, which lodging you are staying at. Do you stay at like the lodging with like the bloody handprint? You'll stay alone, or do you try to stay with someone else, even though like everyone's kind of wary of you now? So I was like, okay, well, I mean, no one wants you, so I guess I'll stay alone. So the direct consequence of that is that night your childhood friend sneaks into your lodgings while you're asleep and basically murders you in your sleep. So that's another bad end right away. Fuck. Okay. So the correct option here was to go kind of plead with others and like you find someone else who's much nicer, will let you stay with them because uh and so every time you get a bad end, by the way, um it has like this section where sometimes people will make a remark on like why you died or like or the reaction to you dying. So like one of the earliest reactions was like um to you dying um was like I think like in the first like death of was like your childhood friend saying I can't believe she'd take ownership of that, or like I can't believe she would have just have someone else take the fall or whatever. It's just like other characters like either saying giving a hint of like what was the right decision or like their own inner thoughts of like you dying or like I got someone else got to her first or whatever, right? And they can get pretty like jokey at times. Like there's this one remark way down the story where this is like a super fucked up section where they like one of the chapters uh happens where there's this like sage or astronomer who gains like a divine revelation that like the divine revelation was like you know this dynasty or this the current emperor will fall now and will be usurped by this woman ruler Wu and so forth. And their response to that was like gathering all the women from the Wu clan, including you because you have Wu in your name, and like locking them in a cell until they find out who the like this woman ruler Wu is from this divine revelation. And so you make decisions on like how to get like traverse that safely, but like the death scene in that is like is if they cannot find who the woman ruler Wu is, or no one's claiming ownership or whatever, then
Just gonna kill them all.
yeah, they pretty much just like strangle and kill them all, and like you see like that death scene, and it's like fuck, this is brutal. But like, but one of like the one of the remarks to like that death scene is like, what do you think this is? Dynasty Warriors Road to Empress? I'm like, that got me off
There's a
guard.
Chinese show that's basically the same premise. It's basically what is it? It's about the Chow Chow's family. You know how they
Uh-huh.
when the princess find this very like beautiful woman and marries into her, and then she basically goes through the same life that you're describing in Road to
Interesting.
Empress. And it's a
Yeah,
TV series, right?
yeah, yeah.
And
Like,
it ends in a tragedy,
yeah,
obviously.
I have to stress this: the production of this is super high quality. Like that, like all the setting, the outfits, the props. Like there's it feels like there's a lot of people involved with this production. Like there's even like a scene like in that like just like that one chapter alone that like had like almost like a whole village setting with different people and different outfits, you know, all for like small little scenes that are like just kind of giving the scene flavor. Like it is a super high effort, seemingly high budget FMV game. Like it makes you like at times because I was streaming this to friends and they enjoy watching it. It's just like astounding how much like this is an FMV game. Like wow, it's like the scope of it is like so big, in terms of like just how much uh everything is in it.
I'm
Um
interested in checking this out now, but
yeah,
this sounds like those Chinese drama that I watch with my parents all the time, and it captures like every trope, like
yeah,
gaslighting,
it definitely does. It definitely does.
and then
But
like
it's so entertaining. Like I don't want to say more of like what happens because it goes someplace and it's really absurd. But this game will give you the wrong first impression because like this is also available on mobile, and for some reason, you buy this game and it's like about $10. It's on discount right now for like under $10. But when you go into this game, like you have like a login screen, so like you need to be online to play this game. And then when you log in for the first time, it has an age verification. And then when you get to like the main menu, it's sort of like that mobile gotcha game scare of like, hey, I got mail for some reason. It gives me currency, and there's a shop option in the main menu that you can actually like there's a microtransaction store for like different currency. It's like for like I think like berries or a fruit and like and then eggs, and you can actually like pay up to like $100 worth of like currency for these. And I'm like, I don't even know what these are used for. These aren't used or anywhere to like progress the storyline. And the only quote unquote currency you would use in the storyline if you wanted are like these like money currency, like in-game currency, um, for tips to get you to the right direction. But I never use that because I would just like I like exploring things on my own. So like, why would I ever use that um thing?
a
So
bizarre business model.
yeah, and there's like a leaderboard that has those currencies to like boost like it's like a popularity pool that's like done daily on characters that maybe that you invested into there, so you're like investing currency that you could potentially pay real money for to participate in the popularity contest. I don't know, but it's like that's all that's all to say that's all separate from like the main meat of the game, which is the storyline, which is what you want, you obviously what you're gonna want and experience, like this whole FMV story with all these branching paths and so forth. It'll even show you like when you go on like a quote unquote hidden story unlocked because of the way that like your previous choices got you there. Um, so I don't know exactly how robust like the branching system is in terms of like how if different scenes will occur later on down the line. Like there's one very minor thing where you are uh gifted this pin, and you have to and you have to guess who gifted you this hairpin, and it's like either like one of three dudes, and two of them are like the siblings to our siblings for Crown Prince, essentially. And then like I picked the wrong one, and it did change the dialogue, but then I died like in a separate storyline or story thing that happened after I died. So I went back to that option, picked the right one, had different dialogue, and I um still could have made the same choices to get to that same death, but then like I obviously chose something else. But later down the line, like in a separate other chapter, it acknowledged that I made that right decision of um who I guess that hairpin was from later on. So I don't know if obviously that scene would occur or not, or there's just something different. There's like a lot of like mini things that could affect like other different scenes down the line, but I don't know how robust that system is because there's so many different branching paths um of what affects what that I don't really know exactly how what affects what in that game because there's so many ways things can go depending on your decision, and obviously a lot of those are bad end paths that you just have to warp back to like your previous this like uh dialogue decisions. So it's if you're a fan of FMV games, I highly suggest this game. Just be advised, it will give you the wrong impression at first of like, yes, you have to be online to play it for whatever reason, and that whole weird microtransaction currency system that doesn't seem to be used at all for at least progressing the story. Um, but it was a nice surprise, and I might write something on it down the line because I was pretty impressed by what I played. It just kind of caught me off guard, and I think I'm like 2/3 of the way done. But my friends are like, do not progress until we're there. Like we want to see how this thing goes. Like they are engaged. They are engaged. I am. This thing goes places. It's one of those games like the pacing is frantic. I don't know if I'd say it's rushed, but it's like it's always getting you to the next part of the game where shit is gonna go down. Like the fallout of like what you decide and what happens is like they're not really concerned with like depicting what actually went down. Like for example, you make a decision to incite a certain person to convince another person to start a rebellion on that, and that's a pretty big decision that advances the story forward. But they don't actually show you the rebellion like going down. They'll narrate it like of like through text like white text on a black background, just telling you, hey, here this is what went down. Um, this rebellion failed. This person got is now in house confinement. This other person has gone missing, but they don't actually show you through FMV scenes. They tell you what happened, and then it'll time skip to that current time after the rebellion happens, because that's when the next gripping thing around Kairan Wu is about to go down, because she wasn't directly involved in that rebellion itself. So it kind of time skips forward, like, okay, what's the next story beat that concerns this woman to advance her journey forward? Uh, so that's what I mean by like frantic pacing of like like it doesn't really isn't concerned about letting like its viewer breathe through like slow moments. It's always trying to like entertain you through drama that concerns this woman. So
Hmm.
it's I think you'll find it interesting, Joe. I think you'll really find it interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested in checking this out now.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like, when I hear the business model, I was like, what? What?
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. I don't blame you. It's very weird. I don't understand either. So that's kind of what I've been playing on the site as. Um, Another big release RPG came out as well. Borderlands 4. I personally, I'm not really interested in playing it. I mean, I've seen other friends play it. Um, I was thinking about getting it to play with friends, but then I saw like all the complaints about the performance. Basically, my simple takeaway is if you're not at like top of the line specs, this game you're gonna struggle with getting this game to perform smoothly. Even like one of my friends is like at 3070, I'm at a 3080, and he's like, I'm like at minimum settings, and this thing is still performing like shit. I'm like, awesome. So I'm not gonna get that game anytime soon, if at all. Um, Mikhail you decided to get this game very briefly to test on a Steam Deck and ROG Ally. Just just kind of give us the Sparks Notes version about
Yeah, sure.
your findings there.
So a few days before release, they put up the PC system requirements, the final ones, and they put up the PC features, which looked like a fully featured PC version, which is good to see from AAA developer. And it said you need 8 GB VRAM and 16 GB RAM. This is not a good sign for an Unreal Engine 5 game on PC handhelds, because the Steam Deck and my ROG Ally, I have the Z1 Extreme model, which is 16 GB shared memory. They have a ROG Ally X model, which added 8 GB more to that pool, which helps in games like this. But it could help in games like this, but it doesn't actually do. I checked with a friend. But yes, Borderlands 4 initial boot up on Steam Deck, when the game unlocked, there was no preload for some reason on PC. So I downloaded it the moment it unlocked from my Steam pre-order. It booted up at 10 FPS in the menu. Not a good sign when the title screen runs at like 10 or 15 FPS. Got into the game, put it on the absolute lowest settings with upscaling on. So this means it was probably rendering at something like 360p internally, and I was getting about 20 FPS without combat. So yeah, dog shit. I just decided to play along because I wanted to see what I could I reach the open world, and would it even run over there at all? And then a friend of mine, he was also playing it, so I was like, let me test multiplayer where it would potentially run worse, but this would be the actual, like how most people are going to play the game. You play this with friends. It's kind of surprising that they put effort into making the game 16:10 on Steam Deck. It even brings up the on-screen keyboard when you have to enter like chat and text messages, which is like bespoke stuff you have to do manually. It's not automatic. And it had HDR enabled on the Steam Deck OLED. So somewhere someone decided to like implement these features, but it's clearly not optimized enough for PC handhelds. So yeah, like it was just like really, really bad on Steam Deck, to the point where I wouldn't even recommend trying it right now. But on the ROG Ally, using the absolute lowest settings and plugged in turbo mode or normal turbo mode, which gives you like an hour battery life tops, you can get about 30 FPS with blurry visuals. So it is playable there. And then I refunded it, and I got my refund, and I will probably be using that money to buy something else this month on Steam. So that is, but I will say one thing though, playing it online with a friend, it just reminded me of good Borderlands, and I need to get some proper impressions for how the console versions are, because like all the reviews which went up were just PC, and like everyone just called out the PC version. Even Jeff Gersman put up a video where he said he had constant stuttering on his 5090, and yeah, this just like a bad showing for that game, which for what seems like a really good Borderlands game. So we'll see how patches go, but it's not one to play on like lower end PC unless you have like Josh said, like a top end, and even there you're just gonna get stuttering. There's no way around it right now. So hopefully they can fix it, because the launch is huge. I think it hit 250k CCU on Steam, and it's not even like Sunday yet. So
Yeah, that's my impression as well. Of it seems like a solid entry to Borderlands, maybe one of its best ones, if not its best one. But it's just modern tech has really hampered and soured impressions on that game. It's just kind of the story of a lot of games these days, unfortunately. So yeah, I might check it out someday down the line when it's a lot cheaper, and by that time, hopefully they figured out the performance, which seems to be a very popular sentiment these days. I don't blame people for that.
Is Borderlands a $70 game for the base?
Yes.
And I know there's super editions also, but okay.
Right.
There's base, there's deluxe, and there's super deluxe. And with Borderlands 3, I ended up just buying the super deluxe when it was cheap on Steam. There was a price mistake, and then I never ended up actually playing it on Steam because it was like 180 GB, I think. So I was like, no. So that's what I did. I just played on Xbox a bit, but yeah.
I forget which game it was last week. Like, Borderlands is the sort of game I'm like curious about, but am I $70 curious at minimum? No. So
yep, I agree.
Like, I just feel like there's so many games these days. I could play this, or I could play a game that came out a year or 2 or 3 or 4 ago that would be cheaper by now. So,
And that probably would run better too.
yes.
Alrighty, so that'll wrap up what we've been playing for this week. We had to kind of keep it a little bit short because, as you imagine, we're gonna get into the Nintendo Direct. We're gonna do this a little bit out of order, not as this was shown in the Direct, just based on what we are interested in. The big one for a lot of us on the site, especially the Dragon Quest heads, they announced on the Nintendo Direct that Dragon Quest VII is getting a second remake. It'll be a Dragon Quest VII Reimagined for PS5, Nintendo Switch, Switch 2, Xbox Series, and PC simultaneously on February 5th, 2026. This is a very interesting one to remake again. Adam, I'm gonna let you lead with this on what are basically basic info and your impressions on it, on your reaction to it, because Dragon Quest VII is definitely one hell of a game.
So, I know I'm not the only person who thinks this, and this is maybe kind of cheesy, but Dragon Quest VII is like the most Dragon Quest game. And I think if you were to pick one game that best encapsulates Yuji Horii and his like writing style and philosophy, it's Dragon Quest VII. Now, I'm not saying other games are not excellent or great or, your favorites or whatever. Just I think Dragon Quest VII, just as it is structured and formatted and told, and the tone of its writing and its structure, I think it's a very, very cool game. It has this pace to it that is extremely leisurely. I had a friend over this after the Direct. He called it tediously slow, but he meant that as a positive, believe it or not. So it's got this kind of short story collection kind of style. If you haven't played it, it's like a series of vignettes, which I know a lot of Dragon Quest do. Like Dragon Quest XI is even a little bit like that. But this remake, this reimagining, which is literally called reimagining, one of the very first things they'll highlight if you look at the press release or the trailer or whatever, they say that it is streamlined. And that's kind of an interesting, phrase to use, that it's streamlined. And we don't know exactly what that means, but it can. Let me just take the most cynical approach first. Not necessarily the approach I think is maybe most appropriate, but the most cynical approach first. And I'm like, what do they mean by streamlined remake? Are they going to basically like pick the 3 or 4 highlight vignettes from the game? Basically, you play through those in sequence, and then you get to the end, like some sort of like greatest hits version of Dragon Quest VII, or what? I don't know. Now, I never played the original Dragon Quest VII or Dragon Warrior 7 on PlayStation. You have, right, Josh? Yeah. So I played the 3DS remake.
I have to. I didn't really like how long it takes to get going in the PlayStation 1 version. Obviously, they make some like compromises on the 3DS version where they got rid of this very puzzly type dungeon in the beginning, and it just feels like it's kind of a waste. But I don't know. There's like no right answer to this, So at least that's in my opinion.
So, anyways, one thing that I've heard through the grapevine, and this isn't official at all, this is just sort of like murmurs, is that I've heard that what they are doing in the reimagining is they're going to take some of like the story sequences in the game and maybe make them optional, so like they're still there, but you don't have to do them to progress to the ending of the game. Because how the game normally works, if you haven't played any of the versions before, is, like I said, it's a vignette style game where you find these, I forget what they're called, like stone keys or something, that allow you to like go to different islands in the world. And each of these kind of locations that you go to kind of has their own pretty self-contained like story or conflict that you do. And there's like a past version and a present version of each of these islands. So you kind of do this sort of like time jump kind of thing where you see like the story in the past, you affect it, change it, whatever, jump to the timeline, and then you see how it is changed in the future. And you do this for, I forget how many vignettes there are in the game, but there's, I don't know, 6 to 12, something like that. There's quite a lot. I wrote a review for the 3DS version almost 10 years ago now. I think it was 2016. Which worth noting that the 3DS version actually came out in 2013. We just got it way late in English. It came out in 2013 in Japan. And one of the things that my takeaway was, and again, this was my very first time playing the game, was the story in Dragon Quest VII is, at least large chunks of it, are not really about your playable party. Your playable party are basically just acting as witnesses to the actual story, which is taking place in the villages that you go to, or the towns and places you go to, and like the NPCs and people you meet there. And like I said, they're all separate and disconnected. And this is where I think like Yuji Horí's writing really shines. It's not super high on exposition or melodrama or exposition. I think I said that already. But it's just the way that it is written and the way that it is portrayed and the way that your characters like act in the stories, I think is just very much him. And so, but the 3DS version, if I remember correctly, it took me about 80 hours to get to the end, which, as I understand it, is about 20 hours shorter than the original PlayStation version, which is oftentimes referred to as like a 100-hour game. So the 3DS version is already shrunk by 20% or whatever, just by removing some of the stuff at the beginning, as I understand it. And also the 3DS version has like on-field enemies and not random encounters, and that of course will affect play times. But it's in order to get to the end of the game, you did have to do a lot of these short stories. So less cynical of an approach to what they mean by reimagining is maybe it's more of these short stories are just optional, and there's maybe a more, I don't know, well-defined critical path of some sort to get to the end, and that's what they mean by streamlined. But it is a lot of speculation at this point to what do they mean by streamlined. Who knows? But separate from that, though, I love how this game looks. I don't know what you guys think. It's like this diorama, and they literally call it diorama style visuals, kind of Fantasian-ish, although I understand it's not exactly the same. So Fantasian from Mistwalker used like real life dioramas of locations, like every room or dungeon or town or whatever in Fantasian is a real physical thing that was made by hand. That's not the case here, I think.
These just the character models.
Yeah, I was getting to that. The environments themselves have like an art style that represents that or resembles that, but the characters, I understand, were actually like the character models were like handcrafted and then sort of digitized. I might be wrong on some
like
of that.
Dolls, right? Like like they actually like made like real life dolls and then like scanned them and digitized them. So there's actually like there's a physical model of these a figure or doll of these characters that they made for this game to it was a really cool look. I really love the design.
Anyone say that this looks terrible has not seen like Akira Toriyama's art on what these characters look like. It's like they need to get their eyes checked.
Well, I mean, it's like it's okay to disagree on like the look of the game, but it's definitely faithful to the vision of Toriyama's style back then for sure.
And Dragon Quest VII always had a little bit of a slightly different, like it's obviously Toriyama art, but it's I feel like Dragon Quest VII characters would almost look out of place in Dragon Quest XI sometimes. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird, but they just kind of have a slightly different style to them compared to maybe other Toriyama characters or whatever. Like, for example, Kiefer, who's a prince of somewhere, I forget the place. He's got like a really kind of big, kind of square jawline head, kind of exaggerated. Maribel's kind of short. She's got the red hair and like the bandana. And your main character has a little hood and whatever, but it's just kind of like, it's a very charming style, and just having the art style, they decided to go with this sort of like, diorama, slightly claymation, stop motion almost look to it. I think is actually pretty well suited, and I think it's really colorful, really charming. So
yeah, I of two minds in terms of like one, someone mentioned it kind of looks like a little bit of the Dragon Quest V CG movie that was like on like some time ago. That I really don't like the how they obviously portrayed the story, but the look of that film is astounding. So I do agree that it does sort of resemble it. But also when they showed off some more clips of the game with the interview that they did with Hori. There's also certain scenes of like the character interactions where they kind of face to each other on like a 2D plane that almost resembles Bravely Default. When they do those character interactions, and I thought of that. Those games, which is like it's like, oh, that makes sense that they would go that direction. In that interview with Hori as well, the things that we can confirm based on that interview is one, they did say that they removed some story elements, but they didn't specify what. And two, they also confirmed that they removed the monster classes because there's a class job system in this game. But in not replacing it, but in exchange, they introduced this like new moonlighting system where you can set two classes at once for a character, which is new to this remake. So that's a interesting give and take. Where I don't know where I land on it because I think part of the I like having the option of like hey, there's a monster class that's really cool, but taking that away in exchange for having two classes at once on a character is like could be interesting. Could be interesting. Depends on how they handle.
The class thing is also a little bit interesting because in the original game, it does take the original game for me is the 3DS game. That's the one I played. I never played the PlayStation one. It takes like 20 hours to get to the class system.
Right.
So it's not one of those things that's introduced to you like right away, like in Dragon Quest III, for instance. You kind of have your characters with set roles until then, and then kind of at that point in the game, it kind of switches it up on you with like now you can change up how each character behaves and what they do with the normal kind of the normal sorts of things you can expect with the class system. But I'm very interested in this remake. I don't mind that they're changing it up. I have already seen a little bit of dialogue about like Dragon Quest VII's pacing has always been bad, and I'm glad they're fixing it. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the right way to approach it.
Yeah.
I was actually rereading my review of the 3DS version. Like, what do I remember about the game, and what did I say about it at the time? And in my review of the 3DS version, again, almost 10 years ago, I actually said in it that the vignettes themselves are well paced and succinct enough that like each individual story doesn't feel like it lingers too long. But there are a lot of them that you go through. I did mention in the game, because a lot of the places you go to have like a present and a past version, there are some times where it's like you have to go up and do the tower dungeon. And now you go to the future, and now you have to do the future version of the tower dungeon. So it maybe gets a little bit repetitive in that sense, because you kind of, in some ways, might feel like you have to do certain things twice, which is probably a fair criticism on my part from what I remember. But the thing is I think pacing is kind of a weird term or phrase to use when talking about Dragon Quest VII, because it's not like all one big story. Not really. I know it does connect and eventually have a conclusion and like, a finale, right? But the way that the game is structured overall, I feel like you don't talk about it in terms of pacing like you would like a normal story or show or book, right? Because it's a collection of things. So I've seen some people say that, the leisurely paced Dragon Quest VII is a part of its identity. It's not a high octane action drama show or movie or game or whatever, right? It's just not. And there's fair conversation to be had, but I am very curious to see basically how they take this and switch it up, reimagine it, literally. So
yeah, who knows? Like, because I remember the PS1 version, like even back that original release, it took maybe I shit you not, maybe 6 to 7 hours to maybe ever get into your first battle in that game. Because you had this very, very long intro sequence, like introducing you to kind of this this beginning island environment and living out your life at a very leisurely pace, in a very leisurely manner. It's very, like as you said, very emblematic of like how Hori likes to. When you think about Hori's writing, he's never the type to really rush into an intro. He likes spending his time crafting the setting before anything, you know, dramatic happens. He's very thorough with an attention to detail about setting up the atmosphere, the intended atmosphere that he wants to convey to his players in his games. which I really adore. I really like that aspect of Hori in that way. But I know a lot of people may not necessarily jive with that sense.
I also remember when I was playing the
Yeah.
3DS version. So I was playing the 3DS version for review, and one of the things that you have to do in the game, in that version, of course, is you have to find their stone tablets. I think I called them stone keys before, but the stone tablets that you get that basically allow you to access the different parts of the story. And I remember when I was playing through the game, naturally, I didn't have like any issue finding out where to get these stone tablets to access them, to basically turn them in and basically unlock new parts of the story for you to go to. But I do remember at the time there was a lot of I don't know a lot, but there was some criticism about like, I'm lost and I don't know what to do, and people had to like look up like where you get the stone tablets to unlock new storylines. So I'm also wondering if that has to do with any of the streamlining they do is try to make it even more obvious like where these are found.
Have objective
Like
markers.
markers, yeah, for sure. Like the current remakes that they're doing, they're adding
Yeah.
markers. So that's fine. I mean, that's one concession I'll definitely. A lot of people, that's what's kind of expected of modern games these days. They really want to kind of know where to go next, because if they don't see a marker of like where to go next, like even see it in like the Tales remasters, you know. Yeah, so I think it's
I was just thinking, like, maybe, like,
reality.
Adam, you remember playing through Lunar, right? It's like that game
Yeah.
did not have objective markers, and I think that's when our guide became like super useful, just because there's no objective markers, and people aren't like paying attention to like every little tiny detail, right? So
Now, I never played the original versions of the Saga Frontier games, and the way that those games like look, the pre-rendered type backgrounds, right? Or at least in the first one, or the art in the backgrounds in the second one. Sometimes it's not obvious, like, oh, there's a screen transition here on this part of the background. So, like the remakes that are the ones I played, which are really cool, like they have that little arrow basically saying, "Hey, you can go here," which is fine.
That makes sense.
You know what I
Because
mean, right?
yeah,
'Cause sometimes the
yeah,
original versions,
absolutely,
it's
yeah.
you can't like, oh, I didn't even realize that this was a path. Like I thought it was just
And
part
it's
of the
also like,
art.
some people might be like, have trouble seeing that as well. So
Yeah,
that it just makes sense to just like, hey, be more obvious about that. That's totally fine. So
but yeah,
we'll
that's
see. I mean,
next
it's cool
February
that,
for
yeah, it's
this.
cool that this is coming out very soon. Like, in terms of like just, hey, announcing it, and then we already have a date, and that's coming up. That's not too
I
far
still
And
away.
if
think
you buy
seven's
the
a kind of
deluxe
weird
edition, you
choice.
get to play it early.
I was hoping for a Dragon Quest IV remake. It's like, but not seven.
I mean, we saw 1 and 2. Like, I think this is kind of interesting, right? Because they have their 1 and 2 HD 2D remake is coming out very soon, but they still have more, pixel sprite entries to make sure they want to do that. I assume they're going to do that HD 2D style. But the question was always like, hey, what are they going to do for the ones that are, you know, 3D? Are they going to do re-release those? What are they going to do about those? 7 was always the weird one as well, because that already had a remake. Are they going to do a new one? And the answer is yes. Then I'm like, okay, what are they going to do this time? Because you know the remake, the 3DS remake to 7 is, looking back, pretty divisive. Like, there are still it's still not the ideal remake for people who play the PS1 version, which makes sense, because
I'm sure this is not going to be the ideal version for those people
uh,
that love the PS1 version too.
that's the
That's all
that's the
I'm assuming.
thing. That's the
It's
thing too.
like
It's like, is this going to be? We'll see how it ends up. We'll see how it ends up. Who knows? Because I think the biggest fear is like, okay, will this reimagining, even if it's not the most ideal one from only the PS1 version, but like, is it giving up too much? We'll have to see. We'll have to see, because I think just fundamentally Dragon Quest VII, as it exists originally, does not jive at all where video games went over the years. Especially to modern to people who are used to modern games. Like that
Zoomer
original release,
generations, they're
it
not
is
paying
just
attention
not.
enough on
Yeah,
detail.
they it is a deliberately slow quote unquote paced game. and that just is antithetical to where the mass market has gone.
Yeah, that's where when I see people say literally like the original game always had bad pacing and needs to be fixed, I'm like, like I don't know. And like you said, I am slightly concerned. I don't want to be like too stubborn, but I am slightly concerned that they just like they'll make this take away a part of its like unique feeling to make it more in line with a more typical RPG experience that like might be more palatable, but I don't know, less unique, kind of similar to what you were saying. But
yeah, so, but that was that nonetheless that was really cool just to see.
yeah,
And that was just the first of this direct, but it was the biggest one, I think. One of the biggest ones. The next one is also pretty big. They this is like the final reveal of the direct. We have a new Fire Emblem called Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. It is announced for just on the Switch 2, coming next year. This is it's looking to be like some sort of like follow up to Fire Emblem Three Houses, because they did reveal a grown up version of Sothis at the end, so it will be linked to Three Houses in some way. It is very much, when you see like the style and presentation of the game, especially the character designs, it is very much a large chunk of that Three Houses development team on it.
and it seems like it's the same artist, or at least someone very similar, character design wise.
Yeah.
So,
this is, but it's a pretty cool setting. Like, they have like this it's revolving around this gladiator-esque setting. In this, we don't have too many like hard story details of what's like what this game's about, but it is very much inspired by like almost Roman times.
yeah, there's definitely like the very beginning of this trailer. There's like some sort of arena, and there's some sort of like games that's about to go on. So I kind of joked before we knew the title of the game, like this is Fire Emblem Colosseum or something, because it's like, okay, that's the setting, so that's where you had like the Roman kind of like Roman Colosseum type of feeling for it. Let me look at the press release here. Oh yeah, they call it the heroic games. So that's like there's some sort of like
the character in the that you see at the beginning said let's begin the heroic games or something like that.
Yeah, but so like there's some event or whatever, and it seems like our main character, I think his name is Kai or Sai. There's like this kid with like kind of like blue hair, kind of like almost, they're not like dreadlocks, but that kind of like style of hair. Seems to be like a main character. There's several other characters that we see, of course, in the trailer. There's some woman who like talks about some man she hates so much that she cannot die or will not die until he's dead or something like that.
I feel it's like a free house completely. It's like Engage failed so bad, so we're just gonna go strip away all the Engage's things and just go back to free house.
I don't know if it's I don't know if Engage failed, so I think it's just a separate team, and like they had two separate.
I don't know, but I feel like I just feel like this game is like, I just feel like this. Like, let's just stay away from this.
I think it's just like, hey, Three Houses is successful. Let's keep on using this development team to make a new one. I assume there's gonna be like another development team, like still working on another separate Fire Emblem thing. It doesn't have to be like one has to succeed and one has to fail. It's like both can succeed in different ways.
That's just like when I joke about Xenoblade, and I keep saying Xenoblade 3 underperformed because they have to go back to Xenoblade 2, the best game in the series, and some of my friends get really, really angry, and I do the same thing about Fire Emblem. But I think they haven't confirmed who's developing this. They just said, like the copyright just says Nintendo and Intelligent Systems. I don't think there's any Koei Tecmo mentioned yet, even though it looks like the same engine, the same animation, some of the same aesthetic. Although the font isn't tiny this time, thankfully. So, I don't know. Like, I just assume it's going to be like similar people handling it, since they probably want to follow up on that game. What do you think?
Yeah, it's and when you look at some of the screenshots of the game, it seems like there's like some sort of like interesting classes. Like there's a class, like there's this blue-haired woman named Leda, has a little like crown type thing, and she can like summon monsters that are demonic beasts or whatever. The villain of the game seems to be this kind of long blonde guy with black armor named Dietrich or Dietrich.
I don't think he's a bad guy. I think these are like your free alliance people that you could join. You could either join this guy, the Alucard looking guy, the hunter or dancer Leda is like one of them, and then there's a Theodore, which is the queen.
Oh yeah, now I see. Right, there is a screenshot where Dietrich is playable. Just the way that he was portrayed in the trailer makes it seem like he's not necessarily. He literally has a skill called murderous intent. So
look, of course I'm going Team Vampire.
Like based on the YouTube thumbnail of the game, like it does show like this three. These are your main character, but seems to be a set main character. I don't know if you can choose like the man or woman.
I think there's an avatar character. There's a character that everyone keeps saying looks so out of places, like where Kai's trying to protect this girl, and she looked like an isekai protagonist with like glasses and
the twin tail girl with
everyone thinking that's like your avatar character. That's kind of like what people are assuming, right?
Who knows? But definitely, in the thumbnail for it, there's three distinct characters besides that like other main character. So maybe that is like the factions that.
Obviously, I'm not a big fan of Avatar characters. I feel they're kind of out of place. I think they started in Fire Emblem VII, which is the first Fire Emblem game that was released on Game Boy Advance, but that character wasn't playable. You're basically, the player character is a strategist that, that
you're literally called a tactician,
NPC, right? Yeah, so yeah, that's why I think that girl is. I think she's probably a tactician, maybe. I don't know. It's like she's planning all the strategies for Kai to win all his games, I guess.
But either way, I mean, we have like pretty small details to work off of. Obviously, the big things we're hoping are improved if they're doing the similar framework as Three Houses. Hopefully, whatever the monastery equivalent is going to be in this game is less tedious to kind of maneuver around and less like I think
less micromanagement. It looks like it's this character in the port running shops and stuff.
And there are a few screenshots that show his name is CAI. Is that pronounced Kai? There are a few screenshots that show him running around the town, like the Romanish town. So like he seems like he's the playable character. So I don't know if he's an avatar or he seems like he has a bespoke design. But my point is that there is some explorable area that you're going to be running around in also.
Yes.
So I'm hoping. So I felt the monastery in Three Houses was like kind of novel at the time. I know like some of the 3DS games had like little bases that you made or whatever, but obviously this was like the monastery was like the first kind of like fully rendered area you could walk around in and whatnot. So that seems to return here. Now, I don't think I'm alone when I say this. In Fire Emblem Engage, I felt like almost everything involving Somniel, which is like your fortress in the sky, was kind of fluffy.
Throw it out.
It was not needed at all.
It was the most tacked on shit ever that they probably like decided, oh shit, if we ship the game with only gameplay and no fluff, maybe people won't buy it. And that kind of
really decided to make
that
shift the best thing about the game only.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like that because the game is so good. It looks good. It was technically good. Everything was good about it. And then you have the stupid Somniel stuff, which is just a waste of time. Like, at least in Three Houses, I just got annoyed by it on like repeated playthroughs. But I wasn't bothered with the first time. Over here, it was just tedious nonsense throughout.
It just felt like a chore.
Like almost, it was just really, really annoying because they got everything else right with Engage. But I was just like, what is going on with this? Like, this feels like the most tacked on shit ever.
Well, also the story of Engage was.
Yeah. But I just hope that personally I'm a fan of like Path of Radiance base conversations. I felt like those were really nice. Anyways, I don't know if I'm looking forward to another game if there's going to be like 3 separate story routes and like you have to play all of them to like get a full picture of the story or whatever. And you didn't have to in Three Houses, but I don't know if I want that again, right?
If they do another Muso with more story content for it, like they did with 3 Hopes.
Like I wouldn't mind playing different routes, but the problem was all the routes are basically the exact same, like gameplay wise. So it was like nothing.
If it was more of a divide of like Fates with like, hey, Conquest and I already forgot the other route. But they had like very distinct stages and stage design philosophy. Not to say. Birthright, yeah. Not to say that like Birthright had great stage design, but like but if they somehow if they somehow go this route system, make it like Birthright and Conquest from Fates, where they have like very distinct design philosophies and have like, at least for Conquest, great stages in general. So if they somehow find a way to somehow keep a consistent great stage design, like even Engage like had like awesome stages, infuse some of that design philosophy from Fates and Engage throughout all three routes of having distinct stages.
Like even like
it's
I
a large ask,
dislike.
It's a large
I
ask.
always I always say this. Like I dislike Conquest for its story, but it has some of the best maps in the game.
It's
Like
so
the one
good.
where you get ambushed in the port. It's like, oh my god.
I even
Give me
actually
that
said
shit.
I even said in my review for Engage that I think some of the map design is improved from Three Houses. I actually thought some of the objectives were actually worse, but I think I mentioned something like they don't come to the highs of Fire Emblem Fates Conquest, and some people got really upset at me. They're like, I don't know. I think Fates Conquest, in terms of like just pure map design, is one of
It's
and
good.
objective design is one of the best. You kind of just have to ignore the story, unfortunately. But in terms of just
But
pure
everyone just kind of
tactics,
treat the story.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, they forgot about the game. They just keep thinking the dog shit story that clouded their mind. That is the map good? Yes, the maps are good. It's like,
Conquest has like one of the fun, like most fun, like I forgot what the old highest difficulty was now. It was like Maniac mode or something.
Lunatic. I think
Lunatic,
Lunatic
Well,
was the
Lunatic
hardest
lunatic
is
is
at that
well,
time.
lunatic is what
Yeah.
they called it originally, and I guess they changed it to maddening for
Yeah,
whatever
that's what it's.
reason. Maybe they felt lunatic was maybe insulting. I don't know, but
Lunatic Conquest was really fun.
It's like, are you a lunatic, guys?
but
Yeah,
yes.
that does sound kind of.
Absolutely. Me. That's me.
I played
Uh,
Three
Okay,
Houses
okay.
on the maddening mode. I never did Engage. But
it's fun. It's fun. Yeah, maddening and Engage is pretty fun. That's 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 cool. New Fire Emblem to look forward to next year. So, like another.
it felt like we were due because it's been almost 3 years since Engage, and it will have been after.
But
You know,
we're
when
still
this
getting
release.
clowned on. We still don't see that Fire Emblem 4 remake.
Yeah, that's been rumored forever. So I'm starting to doubt that that's real because, like, I don't know.
No, it's
I
gonna
think they're
ship
working
the
on
same.
this.
It's gonna ship the same week as FF9 remake for sure. Believe.
Yeah, believe that.
Yeah. Also, I forgot to mention. I was gonna say weapon durability is back, guys.
Let's go. I don't mind it. It's cool.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't really mind it.
I was molded.
I'm used to it. Yeah,
I'm
I'm
used
used
to
to it.
I love weapon durability, guys.
I mean, I'm totally fine with it. It kind of pushes you to like kind of think strategically, like, okay, do I use this now or later? I like that tension. What were you gonna say, Adam?
I felt that if there was going to be like a Fire Emblem 4 like remake or something, or a a Fire Emblem. I've seen some people wondering about a Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn type of remaster collection or whatever. I felt like that would have made sense to maybe release before the next, mainline Fire Emblem, kind of like a stopgap. But Engage is clearly, the next big thing. So maybe after that, or not Engage.
Fortune's Weave.
Fortune's Weave. I got Engage on the brain. So Fortune's Weave.
But you also got this one thing. They said 2026. When 2026? It could be like December 2026.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
So it's like
know.
you don't know. It's so.
But at least it being Switch 2 exclusive kind of gives me hope. Like, hey, this will hopefully run really well. Hopefully, it has a 60 FPS. Just as the base standard and has really clean visual. Not to say that Three Houses ran badly, but definitely inconsistent at times. Next up here, we have the final trailer for the upcoming Pokemon Legends ZA coming out October 16th. The way everything that came after this is a mess. But they showed that final trailer. One of the things they announced was this new Mega Dimension paid DLC coming out for it. So they're like already announcing paid DLC coming out before this game is coming out. This is kind of weird. But as part of that, they showed off like the Mega Evolved Raichu X and Y forms as part of it, and this new paid DLC will allow people to continue the story after the main story. So there's like almost like this takes place after the main story of Pokemon Legends ZA. So if you want to see the complete story, this paid DLC happens after that main story, and they go into sort of the premise of that, which isn't too relevant for what we're discussing here. It's just like, hey, a new thing happens where a new mischief Pokemon Hoopa holds the key to this paid DLC story where they can warp space using rings on its horns, etc. And things happen. And part of it is this Mega Raichu X and Mega Raichu Y was revealed as part of it. They didn't go too much in it for that. The main thing here is, hey, they showed off new Mega Evolutions for Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja, which was really cool. Their designs are neat. It's like, oh man, finally the Mega Evolutions revealed for. Then the news comes out after this reveal that these new Mega Evolutions for these 3 Pokemon cannot be obtained through normal gameplay. They can only be obtained. These Mega Evolutions can only be obtained through that ZA Battle Club PvP mode, and they are rewards for seasons from the online ranked battles. So, once again, you cannot obtain these Mega Evolutions for these Pokemon through normal single-player gameplay. They are handed out as rewards for participating in the online ranked battles at that ZA Battle Club PvP mode. And it is technically pay to win because in order to access that online ranked battle, you do need a Nintendo subscription to even go online in the first place and participate. So it's a bizarre decision. I and many others do not like this decision at all. Obviously, it is kind of fucked up that, hey, you're gating off Mega Evolutions now through ranked battle. Really?
I
It
don't
just
really know
looks
much about Mega Evolutions to know much, like I don't know anything about Mega Evolutions. I'm kind of a lapsed Pokemon fan, so I don't know if this is I don't know.
I mean,
I don't
like, hey, you can, but like Dragonite, for example, like Mega Dragonite, you just need like a Mega Stone that you get from like the game, to hand it out. You just use that Mega Stone on that Dragonite to Mega Evolve it. Lucario, for example. I got to play as Mega Lucario in my hands-on at PAX West. But now you're telling me that like, hey, there's like evolved Pokemon that look really cool. I can't have these at all until I participate in a mode I'm not really interested in. I can't just like play the single player story to use them. Okay, that just kind of feels bad. Kind of feels really bad. There's also this whole other drama, which I once again I understand from the people who are very invested in that scene of like the considering Pokemon Home. Apparently, there's language uh, with the Pokemon Home integration with ZA where if you transfer a Pokemon from Pokemon Home into ZA, you cannot transfer it out from ZA to a previous title. It is like it's almost
yeah.
like make sure that you want this Pokemon from Pokemon Home and going into ZA because you cannot transfer it out to a previous title if you do that. So, and people dug into it, and like Arceus didn't have this restriction as far as I read. They just kind of like they erased like certain stats or skills or whatever if you made that transfer. So like if you could still do it, you just had to obviously give up like certain stats and skills and restrictions, but you could still do it. You're not locked out of it, unlike with this one in Z. Just a double whammy of like really questionable decisions, to put it lightly. It that sucks. That's but
And it's out in a month.
Yep, it's out in a month.
Feels pretty weird, but yeah.
I mean, better to know this up front than buy it and then find
Yeah,
out
of
after the
course.
fact, I guess.
I honestly couldn't I don't know anything about Mega Evolution stuff which y'all just discussed because I am very casual with Pokemon. I've probably like finished 2 games in my life and I'm still annoyed that RCS didn't get DLC, but at least they're doing one for this Legends game, which I need to pre-order with a voucher because what else are you going to use vouchers on? Nothing more soon.
Moving on, they showed off a new trailer for Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. That is coming out this year. That they announced that it'll be coming out worldwide simultaneously on November 6th for Switch 2. And they did show that there is 60 FPS. It is running at a 60 FPS in the trailer during single player mode. That's what the trailer showed. It does support 2-player split screen co-op, though it does obviously turn down the frame rate on that mode to 30 FPS to support that split screen co-op mode. There's also it supports game share as well, according to the footage. And then you got to see more gameplay footage. And there's hey, you can use Zonai devices in battle. So at one point they have a Zonai fire hydrant to spray enemies with, and along with more playable characters during that Zelda flashback-esque segment journey in Tears of the Kingdom that it keeps hinting at. So now you get to finally see what happens during that whole storyline in Tears of the Kingdom. They once again stress that this is canonical, unlike what happened in Age of Calamity. So this is actually what happens. And yeah, I mean, it's coming out 2 months, so we'll see how that shapes
Showed the
up.
box art also, which looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, the
And it is a it's a $70 game, which I think is now Nintendo's new base game price. It's gonna be either 70, I guess, or 80. And looks good. Gameplay looks nice. I'm excited to play it. No, obviously this doesn't work with vouchers because it's a Switch 2 game, and those only work on Switch 1 games.
okay.
I don't know if you saw the file size. It's 45 GB approximately on the eShop. That's like the biggest Switch 2 Nintendo game, or I think the biggest Nintendo game, published game period ever.
Yeah,
Is that
wow?
Yeah, because I was looking at the eShop for Metroid Prime, which is like 29 GB or something, which means it barely fits into a Switch 1 cartridge. And then I saw Age of Imprisonment as like 44.9 or something, and I was like,
Sheesh.
holy shit. Like, yeah.
I have a report to make.
Okay.
Mikhail knows what this is. So Nintendo officially released 26 screenshots for Age of Imprisonment alongside this release date. 15 of those screenshots feature Zelda. She's the main character. But I'm sad to report that 0 of these screenshots feature the Korok, whose name I don't even know.
Oh no! Yeah, I don't remember the name either.
He is on the
What
box
the
art.
hell?
He's kind of hiding. He's on the side. But I'm.
Is the Korok playable?
I think it looks like it. So I don't know, but
a lot of questions. A lot of questions. But we'll find out. I mean, yeah, this is one of our we didn't know when this thing was gonna drop, based on the way they were marketing it. So good to see that coming out pretty soon.
And also,
Yeah.
I'm probably not the best person to speak to this, but it is a little bit of an interesting factoid in that this is technically being developed by a new studio within Koei Tecmo, which is called AAA Studio. We probably mentioned this before. So Koei Tecmo announced that they were making this new studio, and we didn't know what they were developing. I thought it was going to be like a new IP or something, and it turns out this new studio is actually developing, this project for Nintendo. And Koei Tecmo and other companies do this quite a lot, where they, develop as sort of on contract for other companies. Kite Stenbuck, who does, a lot of coverage for us, had said in the past that like other Warriors type games that Koei Tecmo does have in the past usually have been just kind of like mix and match types of teams from from Team Ninja or Omega Force or whatever to create like Fire Emblem Warriors or the first Hyrule Warriors or whatever. So the fact that this is kind of like a standalone dedicated studio for it is kind of interesting. That I'm kind of curious what the studio is going to be doing, going forward. Obviously, this is their first like project as a studio, but I'm curious to see, what they do with it. Does that make sense? I'm curious.
Yeah.
So
does this technically make this a AAA game studio or AAA game?
I mean, the studio is called AAA Studio, so by definition,
it's a $70 game. Like, what else? What else do you need?
It's a AAA game, I guess.
Hopefully, it doesn't have AAA game launch performance issues, but we'll see.
Who knows? That's a flip of the coin these days. and then that coin usually lands poorly for the consumer in terms of running well. This next one is kind of out of nowhere. Spike Chunsoft decided to make an announcement in this Nintendo Direct. They announced Danganronpa 2x2, 2 by 2, 2 times 2. I don't know how they decide to pronounce it here, but that's 2x2 based on the text. It is coming next year for PS5, Switch 2, Switch 1, Xbox Series, and PC via Steam. It is being developed by Gem Drops, according to the Steam page. It is a remake of Danganronpa 2, but it also has a new scenario, new story content for as part of it that is, as reported, about the same length as the base Danganronpa 2 game as well. So it is like a remake of Danganronpa 2 plus a new follow-up. Like entirely like new follow-up that is as long as the base game as well. And of course, based on how this game is titled, this 2x2, 2 by 2, whatever, and if you're reading it as a math equation, 2 times 2, Danganronpa fans are having their hopes up that this is actually like, gonna lead to like an entirely new Danganronpa entry that maybe sidesteps how V3 and how V3 and also the anime only follow-ups that quote unquote concluded the Danganronpa series. They're hoping this new thing is a new avenue to follow up that game. So I don't know. I'm not a big
I think
Danganronpa
it's.
head.
Oh,
I
I am.
know some of it through osmosis.
Oh man,
Yeah,
this is like,
Mikhail.
I think Danganronpa 2 is still in my like top 20 games of all time. So when I saw this, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I'm sure every
So
Danganronpa
because
fan was losing it for sure.
when it started, I thought, when they showed the island and they said something about sun and rain or something, I was like, is this going to be a flower, sun and rain? Is that remake happening? And then it showed Nagito, and I'm like, what? And then yeah,
Yeah,
it's like Danganronpa 2 by 2. Is it Danganronpa 4? But then they've said this is the newest entry in the Danganronpa series. But then
Mm.
if anyone's played Danganronpa 1, 2, and V3, you're not supposed to trust what they say. That's all I'm gonna say with titles. So who knows, like having as much content as the original Danganronpa 2 and how they're gonna remake Danganronpa 2. Suddenly this is my most anticipated game of 2026, like without question.
That-
So I want to see how it is. Like I've played this thing on everything. I've played it on like Vita multiple times. I've played it on PC, on like an old ass gaming laptop. I've played it on Switch. I've played it on Xbox when it came to bloody Game Pass. I've done everything. I will be on this. So I don't know. All my hope for this thing is if they like somehow get the voice actors back as far as possible for the new content, because I don't like when like remakes have this, it happened with Vesperia, right? Where they couldn't or they didn't get Troy Baker back. So you had some lines with the new voice, some lines with the old voice and stuff like that. I hope there's none of that inconsistency when the new content, and if they make changes to the old content, I gonna, like they said, we have to wait and see what when they show more about it. So I will wait and see, but I don't know. Like I'm just like Kodaka has earned my trust multiple times over, so he gets my money for whatever he does. So I will see how this goes. Yeah, very excited for it,
Are you gonna replay the
and I'm
original
happy it's not.
Danganronpa 2 before this?
Sorry, what?
Are you gonna replay the original Danganronpa 2 before this?
It depends on when it's coming out, because if it's like some nonsense like September 2026, probably no, because I remember in like the end of June I said July seems kind of empty, maybe I should finally finish 100 line, and we are now in the middle of September, and I've still not booted it up again. So
Yeah, I
it
need to
depends
get
on
on
when it's
Dungeon Line, but
releasing.
it's been too
Yeah, it
busy.
depends on when it depends on when it's releasing.
We're,
But
we're probably still
I
not
will.
to be done with Dungeon
Yeah.
Line by the time this comes out, no matter what.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, and I'm glad it's multi-plat from the start, because like Raincoat looked kind of dog shit and it was Switch exclusive for like a while. So like this is on everything from the start. So I will try it on everything probably, but I'm glad like everyone is not like Danganronpa doesn't have this timed exclusive nonsense anymore. So like good, it's on everything.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's all of a sudden the Danganronpa fan base, the big comeback in 2026. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, that definitely one of the most out of nowhere announcements for sure. Um, they also announced at the Nintendo Direct that Dynasty Warriors Origins, which originally released this year, um, will be coming to Switch 2 on January 22nd, 2026. And they also announced and revealed that the big paid large scale DLC is was teased in it. Obviously, that is coming to all the platforms that DW Origins has been released on. It's teasing that it's going to be like a yellow turban route potentially, because you do see Zheng Jiao to um, tease it. So, obviously in DW Origins, you can cite it Wei, Wu, or Shu. This upcoming paid DLC, it seems to be hinting, hey, maybe there's a yellow turban route uh, in it. So, very interesting to see how that's going to go. But, I'm interested to learn more about this upcoming DLC. I'm definitely, it will definitely revisit Origins once that got out. DW Origins, one hell of a game. Really like it.
I wonder
So
if
one of
they
my
do a Extreme Legends or some, is it going to be like that kind of thing? Also, we get that bundle or something. But I don't know how they're going to do it this way, because they'll probably like bundle the base game and expansion together, right? When they release it on Switch too.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. An Extreme Legends expansion would be weird because Extreme Legends has its own distinct flavor of like how they dole those out. So I don't know. I don't know. Um, Also announced on the this was only shown at the Japanese Nintendo Direct, but obviously this will be releasing worldwide simultaneously. Capcom has announced a Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection for PS5, PS4, Switch, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC next year. This will include uh, every, all the Mega Man Star Force games and their versions. So the Leo, Dragon, and Pegasus versions of Mega Man Star Force 1, the Zerker X Ninja and Zerker X Saurian versions of Mega Man Star Force 2, and the Black Ace and Red Joker version of Mega Man Star Force 3. And people are like, what the hell does that mean? Just think of them like Pokemon versions, like how Red and Blue is, how Diamond Pearl are. Basically, their version differences where like the main core story of the games are the same, but like each has like there might be different card exclusives in one version or different um card layouts, obtainable cards. Like I know for Mega Man Star Force 3, there's like a transformation system where like the Black Ace version has like more high speed attacks and the Red Joker version has more like high damage, slower attacks. Um, but like the main stories are like pretty identical. There might be like different characters that fill in for one version that are different on another version, but it's don't get too caught up on like, oh my god, there's so many different um like crazy versions. It's like it's three Mega Man Star Force games, but with all their versions packed in.
I think they
So
start doing that at like Battle Network 4, was it? Or is it 5 when they start doing that, having like two separate games with like multiple versions?
yeah. So
But
these are neat
I,
games. So I play a little bit of them. They are sort of like Battle Network, but like the perspective is different, and obviously the whole card system is different as well in Star Force.
yeah, but anybody that's getting into these collections, they know what they're signing up for.
Oh
So,
yeah,
but is
they're
that
cool.
all the things that Capcom needs to port of all their classic in titles, or is that?
Oh man, they still have the PS2 Mega Mans, right? The Mega Man X's, the weird like 3D turn based system. Forgot which X that was.
Oh, Command Mission.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess that seems like a really out place to port though. It's like, oh yeah, here's a single game. It's like it's just
But they
so
are
small.
they are kind of going through their classic collection. They've been really good at re-releasing them for sure. But they are maybe starting to run out of titles potentially. They still have a whole. I guess you still have like you could go to the Resident Evil well for that, like the Code Veronicas and stuff like that if you really want to start
That'd be
re-releasing
nice.
those older titles. I don't know. There's a shitload of Mega Man, or I mean shitload of Capcom titles.
Yeah, but I just feel like this is like, oh, they got everything now. It's like
For Mega,
ZX.
I mean for Mega Man, you had the Legends games also. So
That's only 2 games though. Oh wait, that's 3 games actually. Legend 1, Legend 2, and Trombone. Hmm.
Tron Bond, and you also have that unreleased like unfinished prototype of Legends 3 that they released.
Imagine that was like their sales pitch. Oh, you could play our prototype of Legends
Yeah, I
free.
forgot. I forgot they unofficially released that or not. I forgot
No,
how
I
that
remember they
was.
were said they got released a demo, and as soon as KG and Infinity left the team, they're like, "Oh, we're not releasing this demo anymore," and and everyone was
This
so
actually never
pissed.
existed.
And then like a couple months later, he announced like the Mighty Number 9 Kickstarter, and everyone's
Oh
like,
god,
"Okay,
yeah, that's wait a
yeah."
minute. So I mean, yeah, Mega Man Legends still. I assume they will re-release those some point down the line, but I think everyone like a lot of every Mega Man person wants a new Mega Man, whether it's a new traditional Mega Man or a new Mega Man Legends or a new Mega Man X. Every single Mega Man wants a new entry in their favorite Mega Man line. So that Capcom is like, well, Mega Man's important to us, but it's
Let's
important to us.
make nothing.
We'll continue to make nothing new for it. Well, shit. So I mean,
Give me my ZX free.
good luck. Uh, on to Square Enix news. Square Enix released a new trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergraded that's Nintendo Direct, and also announced that it'll be coming to Nintendo Switch 2 and Xbox Series on January 22nd, 2026. Also the
Don't
same day
forget
as
Xbox on PC, the
on
main
Xbox and
platform
PC.
for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That so they recently announced that this will be running at 30 FPS on Switch 2. Also got to see it at PAX West, also running at 30 FPS as expected. Nothing crazy there. But the bigger, I guess, sort of announcement out of this, and this is not necessarily surprising, but for them to say this now, but they did confirm that the FF7 remake trilogy will be coming to Switch 2 and Xbox. In addition to them coming on PS5 and PC. So yes, this does confirm that Rebirth is coming to Switch 2 and Xbox at some point. I'm very interested to see how Rebirth will run on Switch 2. I'm very
Man,
interested.
like after how it looks on PS5, like, and seeing how it runs on Steam Deck, it's gonna take a lot of work. And if remake itself is like just 1080 30 or whatever, like what the hell is gonna happen with Rebirth?
It's gonna be like 720, 30.
It's gonna have
Yeah, probably gonna have to
it's
like
gonna have
abuse
variable resolution.
DLSS. It's probably gonna have to abuse DLSS.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be. Good luck to all the engineers and programmers to make that work on Switch 2. Gonna be a miracle. Oh, but either way, cool to get confirmation on that. Atlas also got hopping in on the fun on the Nintendo Direct. They previously announced that Persona 3 Reload is coming to Switch 2, but the announcement here was they released a demo for Persona 3 Reload on Switch 2 that will support save data transfer into the full game. That'll be coming soon, right? But the Switch 2 on October 23rd. So
Yeah, it's like a month away.
yeah, so people want to
Did you
test that
try the
out.
demo?
I didn't. I mean, I already played Persona 3
Okay,
Reload. Did you?
I did because I was very curious how they do the port, and it seems like a very conservative and kind of disappointing. Like, it's, I'd say, more disappointing than FF7 Remake Intergrade based on your impressions. Like, it just yeah, fine. You got the game running on Switch too, but like it looks like 1080 30 docked. And the handheld version, like when I played it handheld, it felt awful. It's like
Yeah.
I can't put my finger on why it is, but it feels like it's running at an uncapped frame rate, which is just hovering around 30. But I don't know. I have to like measure it
Weird.
exactly. It just gave me motion sickness in 5 minutes. So I was
Oh.
like, I'll wait for the full review code for the game to make sure this is like how it actually is, because it does not feel good right now. Looks fine, but I think it's just 1080 in both modes. I don't know like what they've done with this port so far, but it I would recommend people try it out for themselves and make sure it like they're okay with it before buying it, because I was not happy with it so far. So we'll see how the final game is.
Hmm.
It feels like it's maybe just a bit better than the PS4 version based on when I tested the PS4 PS5 versions last year. So that's kind of disappointing, given how Switch 2 is closer to current gen. So yeah, PS5 and like even Steam Deck can do like locked 60 FPS. PS5 is 4K 60. So going from that to like 1080 30 and oh yeah, one more thing, it's not 1080 30 like stable. It has like the typical from software frame pacing issues as well in some parts. So it's just like, what are you doing, Atlas? So
Making a quick buck. That's what they're doing. The
I
Atlas
mean,
way.
it's like like it's what, nearly 2 years or 1.5 year later, and you're charging $60, not including any DLC. There's going to be like
Don't
three
worry, they're gonna
editions that
charge you
people.
$30 for that expansion pass again.
Yeah. So
Yep.
and you essentially have to pay like $100 for the premium deluxe, and then even that doesn't include episode, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of shit in general. But like, yeah, it's just, I don't know what to say. But I'm going to
Easy
reserve
money.
judgment until I play the full game, because I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt right now that this is not how the final game will be, because I don't know what to say if they're shipping it handheld like this.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out in a little over a month. Um, Supergiant Games. They ran Nintendo Direct. They had a pretty awesome animated, expensive looking animated trailer for Hades 2. They officially announced that Hades 2 is coming to Switch 2, but of course, alongside this announcement, that means that Hades 2 will finally reach its 1.0 launch, exiting early access. It is coming to PC, Switch, and Switch 2 1.0 on September 25th, 2025. So, in a little over 10 days, the full release version of Hades
Ha-
2 is coming out.
Hades 2 and Silk Song in the same month.
Um,
Yeah.
a
And
lot of
also
people played
Hades
the.
2 has.
Go for
Yeah,
it.
go ahead.
Go for
No,
it.
Hades 2 has like Hades 2's early access was fantastic, and when they announced like it was gonna be on Switch 2 in the Switch and Switch 2 in the April, I believe, or it was the April Direct. I was hoping they'd ship with cross save, and they confirmed that like Hades 1, Hades 2 will also have a PC, Switch, Switch 2. Like Hades 1 was just on Switch, but Hades 2 will have PC, Switch, Switch 2 cross save,
Very cool.
and they also confirmed that the game will run at 1080 120 docked and 1080 60 handheld on Switch 2 and
Cool.
720 60 on Switch 1. So yeah,
Wow.
hopefully it's good, because the early access was like massive. I think the initial early access before any of the patches was already bigger than Hades 1. So this is probably going to be like maybe 3 times, I'd say,
Maybe, yeah,
bigger.
maybe.
I
Yeah,
don't.
it's yeah,
Shit was insane. Like, can't wait for the new music. Also, we'll see how it
yeah.
goes.
When I played the early access, I only played like maybe like a few like early patches, early patches of the early access when it first launched, but it was already really fun there and already one hell of a game. So I'm interested to find time to check out the full version whenever I can. Obviously, it's uh, cannot be overstated how much I love Hades 1. So Hades 2, it was already shaping up to be a pretty fantastic game based on what I played. I'm curious to see what the full game. And then we'll get to our final RPG related thing of the Nintendo Direct. Capcom once again, Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection is launching on March 13, 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series, Switch 2, and PC. So they just had a new trailer showing off more story and quite a bit of gameplay footage of this game. Lots it seems to be like an open world exploration, if not a very wide open zone exploration of a lot, very very focused on like mounting all your different monsters out on the field whenever you want. It's like seamless switching of you just like hopping from one monster to another, both ground and even in the air. Like a Rathalos just hijacked, the player character when they wanted to switch over to a Rathalos monster mount. So that was cool to see. Just having being able to ride your monsters just seamlessly out on the field or out of the open world.
And it has wilds monsters as well.
Right. Yeah, they have the Magnum Aloe that they teased at the first reveal on that.
They had
I'm
Raidao and Chatacabra.
Yep.
So we'll see. It's
Oh
probably
yeah.
going to be like a combination of
You said
everything.
Wilds. I was thinking of Rise.
Yeah, sorry, you heard Rise. Yeah,
Magnum
Magnum
Aloe from
Aloe is
Rise.
probably. I hope they have Malzeno from Sunbreak, because
I hope so,
Sunbreak was
yeah.
like 1,000 times better than Rise. So yeah, can't wait
one
to
of
see
the-
how this goes. There's the one small nitpick thing is the footage looked kind of crusty, which I don't know. Like I was hoping developing for Switch 2, maybe you'd like ship in a better state, because Monster Hunter Stories 2 ran kind of dog shit on Switch 1. I don't know if you played it there. It was day one on PC, so like I assume you might have been PC, but yeah, it was kind of bad on Switch 1. So I hope new gen they don't, it doesn't end up a situation where you've built it for Switch 2 and it's not optimized there, but it'll just run better on the more powerful systems, because that would be unfortunate. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. But this looks to be another like big step up. Like how Stories 2 was a pretty considerable step up from Stories
Yeah,
1.
absolutely.
This one looks, even better. So man, 2026 already getting crowded. But yeah, that is what we have for Nintendo Direct in terms of like what relates to our coverage on the site. Obviously, there's a lot more games they showed there.
What do we think
don't have
about Samus riding a motorcycle in an empty vast desert?
I wasn't trying to. I wasn't trying to mention it, but man,
I don't
that
know.
was.
Yeah.
Look, it might not be representative of like the full game experience. It might just for a certain section of that game, but that was definitely one of the worst like release date reveal trailers I've seen in quite a while, because it basically was like that Metroid Prime 4 trailer was like, hey, here's all this stuff that you kind of don't really want to see in a Metroid Prime game, which is the motorbike is like, okay, fine, whatever, but then you have like this open world exploration and it's like a really empty looking desert and it looks kind of bad, and you have like this whole fight sequence on a motorbike in this empty looking zone open world thing. It's just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Is it just me, or does it feel like after the April Direct, which showed, like the everyone who played Metroid Prime 4 in the Switch 2 thing, everyone said, oh, it's so good, it's illegal. Like Alex said that, Adam also played it. Everyone was very happy with it. And since then, every showing has just felt like subtle and weird. I don't know. It gives me a weird vibe. Like this trailer, I watched the trailer after the Direct and it felt like they're just doing this out of obligation. Like, I don't know. It's like this is a huge game which so many people are excited about, and I feel like it's not my problem to worry about the marketing for a game which they want to sell, but I don't know. I was expecting a better trailer for the release date.
And also, this is kind of a weird thing, but like in the Nintendo Direct, usually they have the voiceover guy say something, even if it's just small things like, this game is coming out on this day or whatever. And for the Metroid Prime 4 trailer, he was just like silent the whole way through, which made it even kind of more awkward. Like, kind of like you said.
I wonder if it's like I wonder if it's like a direct response, because the last time they did that for that is like was the psychic abilities for Metroid Prime 4, and then like the voiceover is like, yeah, you get these abilities which lets you interact with like mechanisms like opening doors, and it's like riveting commentary here.
It just felt weird how like the guy is kind of chattering through most of the direct as he normally does.
Yeah.
And then like silence. Metroid Prime trailer takes a minute. doesn't say a single thing, and then like starts talking again on the next game, whatever it was, and it's just kind of like, that was weird. Like, it's like, like it's almost as if it's like, oh yeah, get this over with, let's move on. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I really don't know what to think of that game, man. I don't know. I mean, for me, it's still the first Metroid Prime was the best one, and every other one that came after was like a little bit worse. Though I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, it's good. But man,
I
this was
haven't
very...
played 2 and 3 yet, so it's going to be going directly into this unless they randomly do a Metroid Prime 4 direct and they say, "Oh, you can download 2 and 3 right now." Maybe
I
I'll
mean,
play them then.
it's
But
looking like that. Like you also need to play Metroid Prime Hunters as well to because there's
yeah, I'm
actually
not doing that. I'm
relevant
not doing that.
characters. There's relevant characters from that showing up in this one too. So
But the amiibo look cool. But I stopped buying non-Fire Emblem and Xenoblade amiibo, so not for me anymore.
um, yeah.
It is $60, not 70 though. That was surprising to me. I just expected this would be like 70 and 80 because it's Metroid Prime 4, but color me surprised.
That's December that they did get a release date on that. That's the early December for next Metroid Prime. I don't know. I don't know if I'll pick it up. I think I'll just wait for. I'll let others be the guinea pig. I'll let them do it. Okay. Now we're moving on outside of the direct. The news bits aside from the direct. We got a new, several new bits for Atelier Resliana, the Red Alchemist, and the White Guardian. We got some gameplay footage of the battle system, and also the opening movie for the next Atelier game, releasing later this month. I was like, when is it releasing yet? Oh yeah, later this month in like a little over 10 days on September 26th. So we'll see. Hopefully that's pretty. Hopefully that's cool. You know, I think I'm interested, but also I don't know if I have time, but I'm interested. Um, we also have a really weird news bit. Yacht Club Games announced that Mina the Hollower is also launching on PS5 and Xbox Series alongside the Switch 2, and PC versions. This was like all revealed in very staggered manner, where like every time they have a new thing to show for Mina the Hollower, it's like, yes, we're releasing it on this platform and also this platform. Guess what? We're actually just releasing it on all modern platforms after all. And I assume that just...
Their original announcement, not the original announcement, but when they announced that it was coming to PC and consoles like a while ago now, I actually had emailed Yacht Club, like their PR rep, about, clarification. I'm like, wait, can you clarify what consoles these are coming to? And they did not. Like, now it seems like almost intentional. And I don't know if they maybe weren't certain if they could pass like cert or something on like some of the consoles, so maybe they didn't know, like maybe they were planning on releasing it on all consoles, but they couldn't like guarantee it or something. I don't know. But it just felt really weird and vague. In fact, I think some other outlets, like I think Gamatsu even previously reported it's coming to PS5. And I was like, wait, are you sure about that? Like, it seems like it, but they haven't said it explicitly. It was pretty vague and non-committal and confusing. And now they finally confirm it. It's like you said, it's just kind of strange that they were sort of wishy-washy about it until now, about what platforms it was actually coming to.
Did they even send us a press release which says platforms PC, Switch 2 only? Like it specifically had the word only, like when they had the what is it, the last direct or a month ago when they released the Switch 2 demo. Didn't it like specifically say? I'm gonna look it up right now because I'm pretty sure you posted this and it was a definitive thing that it said it was only launching on these things.
Yeah, the press release that they sent back in August said Switch 2, and Steam. Yeah, and then I emailed them asking about
Yes, it
platforms.
says available. Yeah, it just says platforms: Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. Oh, the demo said available only on Switch and Switch 2. I misremembered. But yeah, they specifically put those three platforms there, but there were many outlets, and Gematsu reported it as well, which, like, I trust Gematsu with that stuff, and it ended up being true, but there was definitely some point where they didn't want to mention the PlayStation and Xbox versions because they had a staggered announcement pipeline strategy, I guess. Maybe trying to copy Idea Factory.
I mean, hey, we're talking about it now, so it worked.
Yeah,
But
I guess it works. Yeah,
Question mark?
yeah.
but anyways, yeah, this
Yeah.
game looks interesting. Like I played the demo. It's got that Game Boy style Zelda with a little bit of like a tiny hint of Souls to it. That sort of style action RPG. Um, I remember some people criticized the demo for like how the movement is a little bit weird. In terms of how you like dash by diving into the ground, and the way that the combat works in conjunction with that. But I'm curious to check it out. I've never played Shovel Knight, so I don't have any of that. I don't make. I'm playing this because it looks cool, not because I like Shovel
Yep.
Knight, because I don't know anything about
Yep.
Shovel Knight. So we'll see.
Exactly. Yeah, the demo was pretty cool. I liked it. So that'll be coming out October 31st for all modern platforms.
31st.
Yeah, 31st. You got there. Let's see here. We have an upcoming demo for Alabaster Dawn. This is the next game from Radical Fish Games, who previously developed Crosscode. That'll be coming on September 18th for PC via Steam. So that'll be very soon. So if you're curious to check out Alabaster Dawn, be up very soon. It's coming to PC and unannounced consoles. So we have this kind of similar situation where it's coming to a console or maybe multiple, but we just don't know yet. They haven't announced.
Yeah, I'm interested in checking it out. I love playing Crosscode, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna check
Crosscode.
it out. So
Yeah, Crosscode's a fun game. Next up, we have a launch trailer for a new piece of content for Kingdom Come Deliverance II, the Legacy of the Forge story expansion that's now available and retailing at $13.99 US dollars, or $13.99. That's already out now.
I'll probably play these eventually. I like Kingdom Come Deliverance too, but they
Yeah.
they have a more kind of typical kind of like DLC schedule where it's like we're gonna release the game and then we're gonna release 3 DLC offerings for it over the course of the year, and I'll check them out when they're all out and done. Like do it all at once versus come back to it 3 times.
Is this the last
I
planned
think there's
story
one more.
content, or
There's one more.
Okay.
This is the second of 3.
Got it.
So the first game also did this, where they had the main game, and then they have like other updates too. Like I think they added an not Iron Man mode type of thing. I forget what they call it. Like a hard mode, like a single save file type mode. But in terms of the DLC packs, pretty typical. Like we'll release the game, then we'll have like 3 separate distinct DLCs, and then we're done. And they're kind of like expanded like quest lines usually, which is what you'd expect them to be. And they're not, necessarily tied to the main story, but maybe a character. These games are pretty multifaceted when it comes to like all the different characters in the game and how they intersect. So it might be focusing on certain characters that maybe didn't have huge focus before. I don't know, but I'll play them. I'll just kind of wait for them all to come out and kind of play them all in a big chunk versus individually.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking at the post-launch roadmap they released back in January, and then it's the first was Brushes with Death, then this one Legacy of the Forge, and then the next one coming winter is Mysteria Ecclesiae. Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce that. So yeah, I'm getting there. We also have an update on Dune Awakening. The Chapter 2, the free Chapter 2 update is live, and the Lost Harvest DLC is also available.
Yeah, so as I understand
it-
it, the Chapter 2 update is a free update that basically moves the story forward, and then the DLC is like a side story. So
Okay, got it.
and that's not free. The side story, that's paid.
Yeah, that's like $13.
Mhm.
So it's like a complete standalone storyline. Describe it as. So that's out. We also have a release date for the Falcom title everyone is excited for. That's right. East versus Trails of the Sky Alternative Saga. That is coming out October 10th. This is the kind of like the party fighting game spin-off. It's always funny. Is people who don't really know when this came out look at it's like, wow, the East roster is mainly East 7 characters.
Yeah, it came out right then.
So it's like, why is it all East 7 characters? It's funny. So that's coming out so fairly soon. So next month. And of course, the Trails in Sky first chapter is coming out next week, I believe. And it's kind of a weird situation where people have review code and there's no embargo on the review code, so we can technically freely talk about it, but we will choose to talk about it when more people get a chance to play it and it's publicly available. But there's technically nothing is stopping people who are who currently have it for review just from spoiling it and talking about it. It's kind of weird. No embargo, huh?
Yeah, there's different philosophies to ask here. Like, there's already reviews up for Trails in the Sky, first chapter, and I can tell anyone now that review code came out for that on Tuesday last week. So, and like I saw a review go up yesterday, and it's like, okay, you played the game and reviewed it in 3 days. Like, even if you did just no life it, I don't know if I would trust that. Like, that's just so like you bum rushed the game as fast as you possibly could and wrote up something as fast as you possibly could just to glaze it and or whatever. And it's like, I don't know, that just seems like, take your time, take a breath, put your tongue back in your mouth, calm down.
Yeah. It is so far, like it's still far out that, like, relatively speaking, it's just like, like
I was just gonna say they sent the code so late, so what's the rush? I mean, it's like there's no deadline. Is it just
there's the reason why
cloud, I
embargoes
guess?
exist, like that. There's kind of just all I'm sure. This is the reason why embargoes exist, so people don't try to like do this.
Yeah, and also I'm just going to take this opportunity now to mention that our scored review is actually coming from a newcomer, someone who has kind of always been interested in Trails, double or junior, and he's never played Trails. And really, this remake is like the perfect opportunity for someone like him to jump in. So I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity in this series' 20-year history to get like a fresh perspective on it. I've already seen so many people who have long been Trails fans or Trails evangelists say, you know, this is it. This is jump in. This is good. This is do it. And it's just like, okay, but you guys have always been saying this. Like, let's get someone new to say what they think, coming in totally fresh. And so that's going to be our scored review from someone coming in brand new. He's playing through it. He's even shared a couple of just kind of stray thoughts on Twitter or Blue Sky, because there is no embargo. But we will also have kind of a veteran perspective from James, kind of like, you know, he can talk about, oh, this is new or different or whatever, and, you know, something that Junior couldn't have because he hasn't played the original. So we're going to try to do both. But the scored review is going to be from a newcomer. So look forward for that.
So I think it's a very healthy just approach to it. I like how we're doing it, but I might be biased because I work for this. But in general, I like how we're doing it. Let's see here. Arknights Endfield is coming out early 2026 for PS5, PC, and mobile. This has been in, I feel like, I don't know if I'd call it development hell, but it's been in the cooking for a long while, and we'll see if this
Did
early
you play
2026
the
release
beta?
holds.
I
I
remember it was a
played it
beta
at
back
PAX
then.
West like 2 to 3 years ago. I don't know.
I don't know. People keep saying this game is completely not what they imagine. It's like when they watch the trailer, they thought they were getting a Genshin light. Then later on, it's like a Xenoblade light, and I don't know. It's like everyone just keeps saying different things about this game. I don't know what it is.
I feel like they've overhauled this game at least 2 to 3 times development because they know they're making something really different, but then it feels like they're kind of scared of the response that they've been getting of like people not really jiving with it. So I feel like this game just sounds like a weird identity crisis because they don't know what they want out of it. But we'll see. I don't know. Let's see. And then the least surprising delay of all time after the Aqua Plus announced that they were being acquired by Ukes. They have delayed Utawarerumono Shiro no Michishirube from fall 2025 to 2026. This is like the next, the follow up from their, what was it called, the Mobius RPG.
Monochrome Mobius.
Mobius Comic.
Monochrome Mobius. Yeah. So, this was the follow up to that sort of project. Their next like big turn based console RPG. Now obviously they're pushing it back following the announcement of Octopus getting acquired, and also to their stated reason was, hey, they're further improving the game's quality as well, which is to be expected too. So this will come out when it's ready. That's all we can say. They also only announced this for Japan. They didn't say it was coming out worldwide yet either. We don't know when that'll happen. So we'll see. We'll see. That is our final news story for this podcast. Once again, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Nintendo Direct podcasts are always hectic and long, I guess. Next week, obviously, we'll be talking about Trails in Sky the First as the primary thing, I believe. What is out next week as well? I don't know anymore.
Toa is
Final Fantasy Tactics?
no, that's the week after.
Okay, so Toa, and Trails, and I think those are going to be the main ones.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
looking over
so.
this
Yeah.
release date thing. Yeah. Okay, then we'll get prepared for that. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Mikhail, and thank you, Chow, for sticking with me till the end here. You can find us on our page, RPG site. RPGsite.net is our main site. You can find us on social media via @RPG site. You can find us, Facebook, YouTube, RPG site net. You can find us on your favorite podcast app. I believe everything's been straightened out ever since the back end stuff has been switched up. I think it's working smoothly now. You would know that, Adam.
There's a few small things, like we're not showing up on YouTube Music for some reason, even though our YouTube process hasn't changed. I don't know if that's related to some of the other weird stuff happening at YouTube recently. I have no idea, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. You can also find us on Discord via discord.gg/RPG site, where a lot of people are, very active. People are excited for Trails, obviously, and people are still losing their minds over the various things that were shown in the Nintendo Direct. Until then, find us next week. Brian should be back, and we'll have a lot of Trails talk, I imagine. And of course, I'm very interested in Toa, how Toa shapes up, because that was pretty cool to see at Summer Games Fest. Until then, thank you so much. Stay safe, and until next time, peace out.